Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? It's always good when I turn the microphone on, right? Then you could hear me, and I'm not just here pantomiming or whatever. All right, how you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is July 9th, 2014. Here's what we're dealing with today. We have a sun sign in Cancer, which is a sign dealing with water, and a water sign. Water, in this regard, is emotions, feelings, things that flow. The moon sign right here is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire signs are all about ideas, creativity. Sagittarius is also about truth, the truth that comes out of the ideas, the integrity that comes out of those things. The symbol we see is an archer, and so the arrow represents the arrow of truth that's being shot in a particular direction to illuminate the darkness so that it can become lit up and shown to be what it really is. So we have fire and water. So think about the practicality in your life. Fire and water. Okay? Imagine a pot of water on the stove. In this case, the fire is underneath, just like our unconscious mind. The pot of water is on top, like the conscious mind, and turn the fire on, can boil the water. If you turn it really high, if you turn it very, very high and let it boil for a while, all of the water will steam up. If the water was to spill out of the pot onto the fire, it could put the fire out. So there's lots of different ways that these two elements work together. Basically what you have is you have feelings and you have ideas. You can have an abundance of feelings, like fire, which causes the emotions to bubble to the surface, or it can bring the emotions to a nice good place of understanding. Or the emotions can get so overwhelming that they overwhelm any ideas that come in. There can't be any ideas because there's just too many emotions blocking them out. So you have to find a way to work these things together. Okay, the truthfulness of the ideas and the strength of the warrior who's understanding all of the emotions. And when you bring these ideas and these emotions together, well, it brings a lot of good things into our lives. Okay, a lot of good things for us to understand about ourselves when we can learn to tame the energies within us. In about an hour from now, there's an aspect going on between the moon sign Sagittarius and this sign here, which is Neptune. Looks like a little trident of Neptune, so you can tell what it is. You got Neptune here, and Neptune is in a square with Sagittarius. So square remembers our lessons. When we come against a square, it's like coming up against a wall. Doesn't mean we're stopped. It just means there's a lesson that needs to be learned. We can either walk around the wall, we can climb over the wall, we can allow the wall to hit us, and then we get back up again. And whatever the case may be, there's a lesson that comes from this. And with the symbol of Neptune, it is representative in tarot cards of the Hangman, which means looking at things from a new perspective, and that's what this is all about, getting a new perspective on things. So Sagittarius, the truth seeker, is learning a lesson about looking at things from another perspective. And as such, something is learned from that experience. Then later this evening, evening, we have the sun sign Cancer is in a trine, which is, remember, trines are good positive energies amongst these different objects here between the sun sign and this one. This is the wounded healer, Chiron. So we have a nice, good, positive energy between our conscious mind, our feelings, how we feel about something, maybe feeling emotional towards something, feeling good vibes, like you want to help and heal, nurturing. So this is what we're dealing with today. The numerology for today is a number 5. Let's see if we came up the same way how to get to there. It's the 7, the 9, and then the 7 for the year 2014. 23, 2 plus 3 is 5. Process is called theosophic subtraction. It's reducing all the numbers down to one lower number. In this case, 5. 5 is the number of uncertainty. It's the number of severity. These different things I'm saying come to you from right here. The symbol, the tree of life, is a symbol that everybody should get to know because it is a symbol that helps us to understand how all aspects of life operate. 3 pillars. Pillar on the right, pillar of mercy. Pillar on the left, pillar of severity. Pillar in the middle, equilibrium or balance. We have 10 circles. These circles are classrooms. We go into a classroom, we learn the lesson of that classroom, and then we leave the classroom and cross the path to the next classroom. So we start up here at the top. We have the crown. The crown is where the energy of the Ein Sof, the no thing, the spirit, flows through into the crown. And from there into the crown, we learn things, wisdom. We go into the classroom of wisdom, the fool, the path of the adventurer, the new beginning. So we take the path of the fool to wisdom. We learn something, and then when we learn it, we apply the lessons of the Empress to understand. We apply imagination to understand what we've learned. And as such, our conscious mind is connected with this part of understanding because we're focused on what it is we want to think. We're using our mind. And as we continue to move down the tree, we see the lesson of mercy, the classroom of mercy, humility. And the opposite side, severity, passion. We have the sphere of victory or emotions. Splendor, which is the mind, the intellect. We have the heart, center of beauty, our foundation of spiritual truth, of our unconscious, and then finally the physical world. And all of these paths right here, between it, there's 22 of them. These 22 paths are in alignment with the 22 major arcana of the tarot. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. There's all 22 cards represented right there. Okay, so if you look at this symbol and you use this, it will really help you to understand a lot of what's going on a daily basis, just to kind of figure things out. Because the idea is always to go back to the middle. No matter where we're at in this tree, we always want to find our way back to the middle. Now we go over here to the highlights of the tarot. I pulled up again the Chariot because repetition is always good, to go over these things over and over. Chariot represents the astrological sign of Cancer. See right down here, Astrology. The Hebrew letter Chet means fence. The whole idea of this card is you've got a person in a vehicle. It's a man, so it represents the conscious mind. The conscious mind is protected from the emotions, wearing this armor. The conscious mind is in a vehicle that is moving. The vehicle is being pulled by 2 sphinxes. Sphinxes represent the opposites of life. Not only that, but sphinxes represent the riddle of life, and the color black and white, the opposites of life. So we have the opposites, we have a riddle, we have emotions, we have all this stuff going on here, but the charioteer has the armor to protect himself, protect the conscious mind from all of the emotions that may go out there to really play upon our world and play upon our way in which we interpret the world and interact with the world. Okay, as we allow spirit to flow through into the vehicle of the person who is in the vehicle of the armor, that is in the vehicle of the chariot that is being pulled by the sphinxes. When we allow spirit to flow through, we're able to move directly along the path that we need to, because Spirit knows where we're going. Okay? It says here the chariot is the inner self. The sphinxes are the senses. The reins by which he drives them represent the mind. The chariot itself is the body and is drawn by the sphinxes. Advancement in occult work depends upon the realization of the facts portrayed in this key. For it is only when we understand these facts that we allow the real self to guide our personalities. The charioteer is a victor. The key represents the conquest of illusion. The idea of enclosure, protection, etc. is suggested in a number of ways. The Hebrew letter chet means fence or palisade. The sign Cancer, attributed to key 7, means crab, an enclosed crustacean. The chariot, the armor of the rider, the wall in the background, the battlements are all symbols of the same idea. The starry canopy represents the celestial forces whose descent into matter is the cause of all manifestation. On the shield in front of the chariot is the Hindu lingam yoni, symbolizing the union of opposite forces. Above the shield is the winged globe. The globe is the sun. The wings represent the alchemical element of air, which carries the power of the solar rays. The wheels represent rotation or cyclic activity. The scepter, a combined crescent and figure 8, symbolizes the combined powers represented in tarot by the magician and the high priestess. So there's a lot of information in this card. If you use the previous symbol here, the tree of life, if you were to go through here and just go through all of the different paths, look at all the different cards, and then you go to this highlights of the tarot, you could see you have all of them right here. And if you go through one at a time, you'll have a nice good description like this, and it will help you to understand more about what the system is all about. And the more you understand about this system, the more you're going to understand it's just really showing you how energy moves, how it operates, how we can interpret it. And that's what it's all about. It's not giving your power up to anything. There's nothing to give your power up to. It's about simply interpreting the energy that's around us. We're almost to a full moon, 89% of the way there. It's a waxing moon, which tells us we're moving from a new moon upward to the full moon. When we're going down from a full moon, it's called a waning moon. So we wax up, wane down. Here's the sky for today. Here's where we were yesterday, right? So now the moon, we see it's moving over. So the moon's going to be over. Scorpio's still going to be down here. Saturn's way off to the right. It says, can your scope separate a double star? High overhead, 44 Bootes provides a fine test. One of its components is a weird variable star. So we're going to see up here, it's telling us we're going to see Bootes. Alright, that's what's going on in the sky. In the Mayan Oracle today, we're at a 5-tone day on the wave spell of the star, which is about shining our beauty and elegance. Today's the free will aspect of that. The overtone radiates outward in all directions. So we have this energy radiating outward that is our free will energy. The free will and how we're shining bright, the light within us. The guide for today is the sun, which is all about enlightenment. Universal fire, which provides this enlightenment. Like-minded energy is the hand. Accomplishment, hidden power or the challenge today is spirit or inspiration. And the hidden power is the moon. This is called the occult kin. The word occult simply means that which is hidden, nothing else. So it's not about darkness or light or anything. So when someone tells you that's occult, it just means it's hidden. That's all. So that's the truth of that. Now, the phrase for today, which is a combination of all of these symbols together, is I empower in order to influence, commanding wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of universal fire. Space weather, our solar wind is 353.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet at the moment, between a 1 and a 2. Sometime today and tomorrow, we should be feeling the effects of the solar wind coming off of these coronal holes. M-class flare possibility is up again. Now it's to 75%, and X-class has gone up to 20. So the possibilities of seeing some sort of activity are getting greater. However, the geomagnetic storm activity has dropped because we were up in the 20s in the higher latitudes yesterday, and now that is gone down a little bit. And over on the Jewish calendar, today is right here 11 Tammuz. Tammuz is the month we're in on the Jewish calendar. And every day there's a daily thought. The daily thought for today is this one here. Top down, ground up. Entering within, there are two paths of healing before you, from the top down or from the ground up. Working top down, you see nothing but good. You do nothing but kindness, and you spread wisdom and light everywhere. The divine, lost sparks are drawn to you as a magnet leaping into the fire of their own accord, consumed in totality. The transformation you achieve is astounding, but it does not last. The sparks dance only to the light of your fire as soon as it begins to fade, then fall back into their place. Nothing has really changed. The darkness returns, perhaps yet more powerful from your nurture. Working from the ground up, you enter within a world that holds these sparks in captivity and become part of it. You do not ignore the beast within you. You recognize it. You speak with it, eventually convincing it to look up to the heavens and realize that is not the sum total of all that is. You do not ignore the world around you. You deal with it head on its own terms. Only that all your deeds are for the sake of heaven, and in all your ways you know him. This transformation is real and lasting because it comes from within. Okay? And isn't that the way it is with all sorts of real lasting change? It comes from within. Change on the outside is temporary, but when we change something on the inside, it affects what happens on the outside. So it's very important that we keep going inside. All right, UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First sighting takes us to Denver, Colorado, July 4th. Series of lights in the sky. You can see they're multicolored. There's our sighting in a distance. Watch as these glowing orbs are seen following each other above Denver. In the second video, see the orbs defend from the sky and move over the city. The movement in the second video shows is controlled by intelligent beings. So July 4th, 9:34 p.m. We're watching fireworks. Suddenly we see orbs of light flying around, turning on. Okay. There's that, and we have this one going down here. Okay. So just a couple of videos. This one's 2 minutes. This one's 4 minutes, actually a minute and a half. All right, very interesting. Very interesting. That was over Denver, Colorado. Over San Francisco, California, July 5th, we have this bright light. Looks like the sun up close, but it wasn't quite this large. The person recorded 3 video shorts of UFOs, but only the third video shows the UFO larger and closer so we can get some detail of it. The object changes its shape and rotating. There's an object in the sky over San Francisco. I witnessed this with my cousin. The first one looks like a fiery cross, then they just look like big balls of fire. 58-second video. Alright. Very interesting. Over San Francisco. Okay. Now, Roswell. How Roswell UFO crash incident is fueling speculation on alien life. If you've been to the Roswell Museum, you know that you've probably seen this. This is inside the museum. It's been it has been 67 years since the incident of the UFO crash apparently took place on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico, which started speculation on alien life that still exists today. The incident is considered as the major landmark event in UFO history and provides inspirations to many books and films as well as museums. So what really took place on that ranch in July 1947? On July 8th of July 1947, a press release was issued by Roswell Army Airfield saying that the flying disc crash landed during a storm on a ranch near Roswell. Later in the day, the story seemed to change as the government scientists arrived on the scene. A press conference was conducted, and it was said that the crash UFO was a weather balloon. Debris that is said to be from the crash was presented to reporters. What occurred in the 70s? Major Marcel Sr. was deemed as the first military officer to conduct an investigation into wreckage. In 1978, nuclear physicist and UFO researcher interviewed Marcel, who said that he had been a strong suspicion that the debris in 1947 was not from this world. He believed he had found an alien spacecraft, but his superiors had covered it up. Well, when it talks here, and it says nuclear physicist and UFO researcher, we know that they're talking about Stanton Friedman, because he's the only nuclear physicist, UFO researcher that I'm aware of. And he is very involved in the UFO story out of Roswell. Okay. Other witnesses, many people claim to have seen debris scattered all over the landing site, and at least one person claimed to have seen an aircraft moving out fast before the sky. Former mortician Glenn Davis came out in 1989 saying that his nurse friend who worked at the Roswell Army Airfield had accidentally passed by into an examination room where the bodies of 3 creatures were bent by doctors. The bodies were apparently resembled to humans but smaller, with giant bald heads and spindly arms. In 1995, the London-based entrepreneur Ray Santilli carried his own footage of an alien autopsy conducted in 1947 in Roswell. All right, so we all know about the Roswell story. We've been hearing it for years. Here's a story. It says slow UFO. The slow UFO. All right, and this tells us that, it says as a researcher and investigator in the field of ufology, I am continually fascinated with the many old photographs and stories that I run across on the internet. Each one represents to me a period in time where it was not fashionable to talk about UFOs. Plenty of sightings still occurring and being reported. On top of that, what once appeared only in hard sought-out books in the past is now easily found with simple search using one's computer, making it much easier to compare notes in these different sightings of the past. While many of these old photographs are found complete with all documentation of the sightings, I find myself drawn to the ones of which little or nothing is known. Some of these unknown are very good photos. One has to wonder about the story behind the picture. One such photo grabbed my attention a while back, not just because it was a good shot, but also because the caption under it really hit home, literally. The photo shows a saucer-shaped craft in the sky with a mountain peak on its left and what might be other craft in the distance. The sole caption in the photo is July 7th, 1967, San Luis Obispo. Being as I live in San Luis, the moment on it was game on. Having sparked my interest, I started researching for other appearances of the same photo. It kept showing up on many websites, but never any more information. So it was with complete shock that I found the next incarnation of the slow UFO photograph. The revelation of the sighting had actually been the Project Blue Book case changed the ballgame considerably. What was at first interesting had evolved into a case with national security implications. All right, we got a lot more to the story. I'm going to leave it for you. Just another good sighting found through old photographs. It's happening more and more. And last, we have a commentary from Dennis Balthazar, UFO researcher, lives out there in Roswell. He says UFO conferences and television shows are out of control. Recently I read some discussion of the internet list referring to the type of speakers being presented at several conferences and how the word paranormal is in many times grouped together to include serious UFO researchers with other types like Bigfoot, ghosts, ESP, faith healing, etc., all at the same conference. I had a personal experience with this a few years ago when I was a master of ceremonies at a conference and was asked to introduce some of the best-known serious researchers in the field of ufology. I was also asked to introduce other types mentioned above in tinfoil hat contests. Since then, I have refused to attend or be part of such conferences. Personally, I have nothing against them. I feel UFO research is of such importance that it should not be combined with any other to refer to themselves as paranormal. When you are researching an incident like a Roswell incident, where you know people are threatened over a weather balloon of all things, that to me requires serious research, as do many other UFO cases reported over the years. All too often, conferences, organizers, and television documentary networkers seem to overlook the seriousness of UFO research. With the network, it's a matter of profits and ratings for the show, and reality shows about UFOs have become the norm. Within the past few years, I've had several problems with these types of documentaries. When MTV was here in Roswell filming me, I walked off when the show host started making jokes about the incident. Stanton Friedman, Don Schmidt, and I were filmed for a National Geographic special, and after presenting our years of research for them, the show's presenter announced at the end of the show that Roswell was a myth. Okay, there's more to the article. I've met Dennis out there in Roswell, he and his wife, and very, very well-informed man, excellent researcher, and he's right. Things have become very blurred, the way in which this information is presented to the world, because it went from a point of having serious researchers putting information out to now you have people that are not really interested in the whole phenomena so much as they are in the festivals that support it. And so they're focused more on to sensationalize the events, to downplay the events. I've been at these conferences. I've dealt with plenty of folks who want to downplay, make fun of what's going on, criticize what's going on, try to find ways to debunk it, on and on and on. You would think that in a country that is considered to be so exceptional as us Americans, that we would be able to look at information that has been available and actually decipher it in a way using critical thinking. But apparently a lot of Americans can't get to that point. They still laugh when they see things. They still look up in the sky and say, wonder what that is. So information doesn't always go where it needs to go. People are still confused out in the world, and they seem to be confused more than ever. I'm kind of confused by that situation to a degree. I also understand that people are being dumbed down intentionally. And so it's no surprise that as more years go by and we talk to people, that they're just clueless about what's going on. So it's very important that people are, like yourselves, are out there searching the internet, looking for news that is not just mainstream news, because there's a lot of ideas out there, a lot of reporters, a lot of investigators, independent investigators, alternative news investigators, a lot of them that are out that are putting information that is really viable information, information that really helps us to understand what's going on. Because we've been sold out by the mainstream media a long time ago. And anybody that actually sits there and turns on the news and thinks that they're going to get some truthfulness from Fox or MSNBC or CNN or CBS, if you are still doing that these days, stop it, because you're not getting real news. You're being lied to. Polls have come out and said when people watch the mainstream news, they are less informed about what goes on in the world than people that don't even watch the news at all. Now, if you take a moment to consider why that might be, why would somebody who is watching their programs know less about the news and the world affairs than those who don't? It's because they are throwing in misinformation into their stories. So those who don't understand, aren't watching the news, they're just using their common sense to help them decipher what's going on. But all the other people who are watching the news, they don't have the luxury of just using their common sense, because they have now been put into a world of illusion, lied to, given information that's not even part of the puzzle. And so in order to even get back to the basics of understanding what's going on in the situation that's true, you now have to unravel all of the lies that were just told to you by the mainstream media that is supposed to be out there helping you. They're not helping you. I know a long time ago we started letting these mainstream folks into our houses when we turned on the televisions, and we got comfortable with that and thought they would never lie to us. Well, it's time to stop thinking that. It's time to start realizing that they're being completely dishonest with us on a daily basis. And, but the best we can do, prove it to yourself. When you come across a news story, something that the mainstream news is not talking about, go to that site, pull up their email information, and email them that story tip. Or call them and tell them. Now they have no excuse for saying they don't know what's out there. And what you'll find is that after you report this incident to them, you'll find that they're not going to talk about it, because it's real news. They don't want that. And that will be your confirmation that what you're onto is correct, because they don't want to touch it. And chances are they already know. They already know. All right? We have to look out for each other because they're not doing it. The governments aren't doing it. Governments around the world. The media is not doing it. They're using propaganda against their people in all countries around the world. We, the people of the world, not just of America, we, the people of the world, need to come together in our understandings of what's going on. And we need to bypass all of those who are causing the problems, because if we look from country to country, it's all the same. The same ones suppressing the information here are the same ones in another place. Just a different face, but the same personality, same type. It's all one big ruse, folks. We got to pay attention so we're not fooled. All right, that's our UFO news. I'll be back momentarily.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
So these next two stories are tied together. They are stories having to do with health issues. The first one is using a treatment that they're calling illegal. But it's not really illegal. It's just cannabis oil. Mother's brave effort. She was dying. She could barely walk or talk and was unable to toilet herself and slept a similar cycle to a newborn, says Cherry O'Connell in the Herald Sun, a mother of an epileptic child living in Victoria, Australia. We had basically been told that there was not too much we could do to take her home and to love her, and maybe, if you're lucky, she'll get to 9. We didn't see her having a future at all, Miss McConnell said. She said her daughter's story took a turn for the better, however, after controversial treatment yielded some miraculous results in January last year. Her desperate parents started her on a cannabis mix known as tincture, after a cocktail of prescribed pharmaceutical medications left her heavily sedated while failing to stop the seizures. In developments that have surprised doctors 1 year later, Tara, a bubbling 8-year-old, and her wheelchair is collecting dust in the corner of the family's home in central Victoria. Senior clinical neuropsychologist Dr. Sylviana Milcalef at Austin Health saw the results for herself, stating that she significantly improved cognitive performance after only 12 months. Since commencing medical cannabis, together with the cessation of seizures, there is a convincing clinical history of improvement in all facets of her presentations as reported by her mother. So, that's good stuff, good news. So from state to state, we're starting to see a movement with medical marijuana. Why? Because individuals involved in the healing profession are starting to realize that there is some truth to this. That if a girl who is having 20,000 seizures a year is stopped from having those seizures because she's using a natural substance, cannabis oil, that's something that we should look at. Maybe we don't need all of these invasive therapies and treatments. What did it just say, the pharmaceuticals? They left her feeling lethargic. They left her feeling heavily sedated. They're not doing any benefit. They didn't stop the seizures. But the cannabis oil, the thing that they're trying to outlaw, does. And they call it illegal, but it's so silly. Now here's something that they're calling legal, which should be illegal. ABC News is reporting that patients are lining up to take microchips. I understand the reason behind it. You lose someone you love who is 83 and has dementia and Alzheimer's. You would want to find them. And in theory, with these microchips, you can basically track them wherever they go. That said, you can also see the other possible implications of such technology and the acceptance of it. It's a violation of your privacy and rights. Not only that, but it's supposed to be the mark of the beast. And here we got a video basically tells the same thing. Again, this one should be outlawed because this is exactly what we were told going to happen as part of a tracking program. They started off in the guise of, we want to make sure that you're taken care of. If you fall down, if you're unconscious, we need to know how to administer your medication. And then it becomes precedent, And then they try sneaking it in bills like Obamacare, which they tried to do, but people kind of caught on to that idea. And then we've got a problem because people are chipped. And then you got to go and you've got this chip, and we know what the Bible says about it. So we need to pay attention to these things. So here's a great example. This thing should be outlawed. Nobody should be having chips in them. And the other thing, the cannabis oil should be not be outlawed and made illegal. It should be legalized because it's a property that's actually doing good and healing people. We have a crazy world. It's all backwards right now. But as long as we understand that it's backwards, then we understand how we can move within it. Remember the Kabbalion? Remember it talks about the different principles there, and there's the one principle of rhythm. It goes back and forth like a pendulum. And if we look at the rhythms of life, we don't have to be caught up in them all the time. We can find that there's a time when we can step back and allow life to move past us, and then we step forward. As long as we understand where we are in the dance, and think of it as a dance of life. We don't have to be caught up. Just because there are those out there, we call them the powers that be, just because there are those that want to take over the world, that have this Simon Bar sinister problems going on in their head, just because they want to do that, doesn't mean they're going to succeed. It just means that they're going to make an effort to do those things. The way they won't succeed is when people stand up, when people speak up. We have the internet. We have the ability to communicate with ourselves very, very quickly. When we apply all of these principles and really communicate with each other in truthfulness, they can't stop us. We are the people. We've got the power. There's more of us than there are of them. That's all we have to remember. We are the people. We've got the power. There's more of us than there are of them. Billions more of us around the world than there are of those. We just need to stand up and stand together. And why aren't people standing together? Fear. People are allowing the fear of what they're being told by the power that be get to them, so they're not doing the things that they want to do. Because if they step out of line, they're afraid that something bad is going to happen to them. No one should have that. Nobody should be worried about that. Our administrations, our systems, they've all failed. Let's understand that and let's find a solution. One of the things I see a lot in forums, people say that we got to wake up, we got to do things. It's, look at all the problems going on in Washington. Well, okay, yeah, we do have to do something, but the system's rigged, so people really can't do the things that they think that they can do. You can't vote somebody in and out because the system's rigged. The only way to do this is we have to stand up and speak and speak and speak and keep spreading the word so many people know what's going on in the world that eventually it'll hit a tipping point and we'll stop the problems. That's what we have to do. Spread the word so everybody knows. That way when they get up and they speak, we know, nope, you're lying to us. And we let it go at that. And we move on. We don't get caught up. We don't spend all day sitting in front of Fox News watching what's going on because we know that all they're doing is lying to us. So, all right, let me move on from there. Let's go to the book of Urantia. Paper 74, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve arrived on Urantia from the year 1934 AD, 37,848 years ago. It was in mid-season when the garden was at the height of bloom, when they arrived at high noon and announced two seraphic transports, unaccompanied by the Jerusalem personnel entrusted with the transportation of the biologic uplifters to Urantia, settled slowly to the surface of the revolving planet in the vicinity of the Temple of the Universal Father. All the work of rematerializing the bodies of Adam and Eve was carried on within the precincts of the newly created shrine, and from the time of their arrival 10 days passed before they were recreated in dual human form for the presentation of the world's new rulers. They regained consciousness simultaneously. The material sons and daughters always serve together. It is the essence of their service at the time, and in all places never to be separated. They are designed to work in pairs. Seldom do they function alone. The planetary Adam and Eve on Urantia were members of the senior corps of material sons of Jerusalem, being jointly numbered 14,311. They belonged to the third physical series and were a little more than 8 feet in height. At the time Adam was chosen to come to Urantia, he was employed with his mate in the trial and testing physical laboratories of Jerusalem. For more than 15,000 years they had been directors of the division of experimental energy as applied to the modification of living forms, long before they had been the teachers in the citizenship schools for new arrivals in Jerusalem, and all this should be borne in mind in connection with the narration of the subsequent conduct on Urantia. When the proclamation was issued calling for the volunteers for the mission of Adamic adventure on Urantia, the entire senior corps of material sons and daughters volunteered. The Melchizedek examiners, with the approval of Lanaforge and the Most High of Adentia, finally selected the Adam and Eve who subsequently came to function as the biologic uplifters of Urantia. Adam and Eve had remained loyal to Michael during the Lucifer rebellion. Nevertheless, the pair were called before the system's sovereign and his entire cabinet for examination and instruction. The details of Urantia affairs were fully presented, and they were exhaustively instructed as were the plans to be pursued in accepting the responsibilities of rulership on such a strife-torn world. They were put under joint oaths of allegiance to the Most High of Adentia, to Michael of Selvington, and they were duly advised to regard themselves as subject to the Urantia Corps of Melchizedek receivers until the governing body should see it fit to relinquish the rule of the world on their assignment. The Jerusalem pair left behind them on the capital Satania and elsewhere 100 offspring, 50 sons and 50 daughters, magnificent creatures who had escaped the pitfalls of progression and who were all in commission as faithful stewards of the universal trust at the time of their parents' departure for Urantia. As they were all present in the beautiful temple of the material sons, attendant upon the farewell exercises associated with the last ceremonies of the bestowal acceptance. These children accompanied their parents to the dematerialization headquarters for the order, and the last to bid them farewell in divine speed as they fell asleep in the personality lapse of consciousness which precedes the preparation for Sephardic transport. The children spent some time together as the family rendezvous, rejoining with their parents, were soon to become visible heads in reality, the sole rulers of planet 606 in the system of Satania, which is Urantia. And thus did Adam and Eve leave Jerusalem. Amidst the acclaim and the well-wishing of its citizens, they went forth with the new responsibilities, adequately equipped and fully instructed concerning every duty and danger to be encountered on Urantia. Said Adam and Eve fell asleep on Jerusalem, and when they awakened in the Father's temple on Urantia, in the presence of the mighty throng assembled to welcome them, they were face to face with two beings whom they had heard much, Van and his faithful associate Amadon. These two heroes of the Calistegia succession were the first to welcome them to the new garden home. The tongue of Eden was an Adononic dialect as spoken in by Abaddon, Van, and Amadon had markedly improved this language by creating a new alphabet of 24 letters, and they had hoped to see it become a tongue of Urantia as the Edenic culture would spread throughout the world. Adam and Eve had fully mastered the human dialect before they departed from Jerusalem, so that the son of Andon heard the exalted ruler of this world address him in his own tongue. And on that day was great excitement and joy throughout Eden, as the runners were in those great haste to the rendezvous, and carrier pigeons assembled from near and far, shouting, "Let loose the birds, let them carry the word that promised the sun has come home." Hundreds of believer settlements had faithfully, year after year, kept up the supply of these home-reared pigeons for just an occasion. All right, and there's a lot more to this story here. I'm going to leave that for you, but as you could hear, it's a little bit different than what the Bible says. They weren't just created down here according to the Urantia book here on earth, that they came down to earth, that they had many, many children, offspring. A little bit different. Is the Urantia book accurate? I don't know. There's theories out there about it. There are those who say that the work is a scam, and there are those who say this is an absolute reality. I find that the information to be kind of fascinating. It does seem to fill in the holes with some of the stories that we know from our Bible. But there are also some things that I have found in there that seem to contradict information that I'm aware of, that I know is a bit more truthful and honest. So when I see some of these discrepancies, I just make a mental note. I think that with anything that's written by man, there's the opportunity for it to be perverted. And this source here, though it's said to have been channeled from an extraterrestrial source, it still was written down on pages by humans, humankind. Is there some flaw in it? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe this is exactly how the universe is. Or maybe this is just another story. I don't know. But what I do know is that as you go through and you find the lessons in here, especially when it gets into the lessons about God and Jesus's information, there's a lot of info there that is very valid. A lot of stuff we can learn about God, learn about the higher spiritual principles. So I think there's a lot to be gained from this book. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I think we also want to be aware that there's, the real truth of what's going on. To really, really know, we have to go inside of ourselves. Because all of this stuff about history, as important as it is, it's not the now moment. The now moment right now is what we're living. And all of this stuff that's happened in the past, well, it's there in the past. It's not here right now. So we need to be aware of what went on, but we need to deal with this present moment. And as long as we understand that there's information out there that fills in the holes of other information, some information is not so complete, as long as we're not being fooled, that we believe every single word that we hear, I think we're doing all right. We use our minds, we use our critical thinking to help us understand what's real and what isn't. Okay? All right, I want to bring this video to your attention here. This is Bashar. You've heard some of Bashar's stuff. I want to play this piece here before we move on. This is called Diving Deeper into 9 Levels of Consciousness. These are highlights from a presentation on the very subject. Here we go.
This idea has to do with the fact that as a consciousness, as a being, a greater being, you can create different vibratory levels within your overall consciousness that can create certain layerings, certain experiences, certain dimensional realities within that overall consciousness that will allow different aspects, different facets of your consciousness to experience different kinds of realities. In creating the idea, in choosing the idea of experiencing what you call physical reality, which of course is only an experience happening within your consciousness, not really outside of you at all. The idea is that the immediate connection to that level of reality, to that experience of reality, involves at least 9 levels of vibratory consciousness. By creating a physical experience, you have created a certain perspective in your physical mind's consciousness that has allowed you to assume certain things about the relationship of your physical mind to these other levels that in some senses is upside down from the way it actually is structured. And being that you have perceived this structure in an upside down fashion has created the idea of a reinforcement of some of the negative conditions that you have experienced. So in explaining and clarifying this structure in this transmission, it is again our endeavor to allow you to understand the true nature of the relationship, the true order in which these levels exist in relation to one another, and by understanding the true order, to be able to utilize them in a more powerful, more effective way for the purpose of manifesting your experience of physical reality more efficiently, more powerfully, more clearly, more consciously, so that you can design your physical reality to be what you truly prefer it to be.
What do I need to do to be able to go exterior and visit your ship?
Buy a ticket. That ticket is a particular frequency.
Okay.
If you will match that frequency, which we have given all of you from time to time, and truly focus on it, you will find more ability to connect in more ways with our civilization's vibrational signature. That phone number, as you call it, again, is the black equilateral triangle against the black background, separated from the black background by a deep blue light emanating from behind the black triangle. Focusing and meditating on this particular vibrational image, this vibrational symbol, will start to align your vibrational signature more and more strongly with our particular dimension of existence. Thus, then, you can simply allow from that point forward synchronicity to play its part in allowing you to experience whatever it is you need to experience in perfect timing. But remember, any such agreements, in a sense, and any such appointments, in a sense, have already been made. So you don't need to really wonder or worry about them. If you have made an appointment, if you have made an agreement to have such an experience, the only way you can miss that appointment is by spending time worrying that you'll miss the appointment. If you just get on about your life and live your life to the fullest, acting on your highest excitement, your life will unfold in the way it needs to unfold, and any appointment you have made will be met in perfect timing. So you don't need to have to worry about it or wonder about it at all.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Bashar has a whole series of videos, lots and lots of videos there for you to check out, see what he's about. Lots of great information. Now, one of the things he showed, just want to make a little comment here. He showed the triangle symbol. Look, symbols are very important. Symbols go all the way back to the history of this planet, to the origins of this planet. Colors, sounds, shapes, symbols. These shapes, these symbols, and so on, they don't belong to the Illuminati. Triangles don't belong to the Illuminati. Neither do any of the other symbols. The Illuminati simply took those symbols, hijacked them, and are claiming them for their own because they use them for their own. So people look at them and they say, oh, that's what that means. It's an Illuminati symbol. No, it's not. It's like the swastika. The swastika, before Hitler took and perverted it, was a symbol of peace. But then Hitler came, and now everyone looks at the swastika, and all they see is the association of evil to it. We have to learn to understand the symbols that are out there, where they originate from. Just like the history that we have, we need to understand where we evolved from. But we don't want to get caught up on that. We want to be able to understand and then continue to move forward, not caught up in all of the little issues of who owns what and what this and that. Just understand, God is the true source of all things. You want to know where a triangle comes from? It comes from God. It doesn't come from the Illuminati. You want to know where sounds and shapes and colors come from? They come from God, not from any Illuminati group. So you have God, the creative sources of the universe, creates things, and then humankind comes in and they try to steal those things, pervert those things, to rule over others. And that is what people are trying to do, to rule over. Well, don't let them rule over. Just understand what's going on, and that makes all the difference in the world. Awareness is 50% of the problem, or 50% of the solution, shall I say. All right, here's an article. This is over at In5D. Very good article. You heard of the idea about how to ground yourself? Energy gets very chaotic and intense sometimes, so we have to ground it. Well, you know how you ground your energy? You touch the ground. That's it. Pretty simple, right? So here's an article. It's a documentary here. It says not too many people realize the importance of grounding yourself. Even the simple act of barefootedness has immense benefits versus wearing rubber shoes with rubber soles. My ex-wife's husband would jokingly call me mooses because I'm always walking around barefoot living in Florida. I rarely wear shoes, but never really knew why. I've been guided. Now I know. The surface of the earth holds subtle energy, health boosting energy. All we have to do is touch it and become truly alive. In this documentary film Grounded, you can see the amazing phenomena transformation. The life of people who have been struggling with health issues like chronic pain, and one man who had been wheelchair bound for decades. Okay, you can go to the article. There's a lot to the article here. I want to take you to the end of the article. The link's going to be available so you could read it. You got the videos down here. We got this one is an hour and 14 minutes. Here you have one that's minute 14, a trailer to the movie. It says grounding is not a treatment for a cure for any disease or disorder. Instead, it can be said without any equivocation of the human body evolved in contact with the earth. It needs to maintain this natural contact in order to function properly. Like eating right, exercising, and sleeping, grounding can be described as yet another lifestyle habit that supports optimal health. Exercising barefoot outdoors is one of the most wonderful, inexpensive, and powerful ways of incorporating grounding into your daily life. You can also take off your shoes as much as you can when you're outdoors and take advantage of the natural grounding opportunities. When indoors, use a grounding pad or a sheet. It's an excellent way to stay grounded while you're working and sleeping. I typically bring a grounded pad with me when I fly, though. Fly 2, though, as I mentioned, Dr. Sinatra believes that simply taking your shoes off and putting your feet on the street, on the steel struts, will do the trick as well. Okay, so there you go. Grounding. Touch the ground, touch the earth, grab some ground. That will help you to ground your energy. Remember, everything is energy. It's all about energy and how we deal and process that energy. We have many different ways that we can process it and work with it. So the better we're able to process it, the better our lives are. We feel better because we understand more. All right, let's do our meditation for today. So let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Contemplate the words of this affirmation. I love and enjoy what I do. I love and enjoy what I do. And just think about those words as they reverberate through your mind, through your consciousness. And you realize that when you love what you do becomes easy. What you do becomes an act of love. It's a different experience than doing something that you don't enjoy, you don't love. Because doing what you love nurtures the soul. So just feel yourself. As you're walking through life, feel yourself feeling what it feels like to do the things that you're doing in life. And ask yourself, are you happy? Are you happy with what you are doing? And if not, what makes you happy? And as you allow yourself to understand the things that make you happy, and you allow those things to express themselves, to shine brighter out into the world, you find that you become happier. And as you become happier, you notice that the world around you changes because the people around you seem to be different. They seem to be happier. And you realize that the universe reflects back to us what is going on inside of ourselves. And therein lies a great secret. For we realize we don't have to change the world. We simply have to change ourselves. For as we change ourselves, we change the world. And so let's imagine this world, this earth. Let's imagine this earth as it is right now, with billions of people upon this planet. And just imagine all of the feelings that are bouncing around in the world today. And as all those feelings are bouncing around, you understand that as receivers of energy, we all feel this energy in different ways. We experience it in different ways. And as we learn to work with this energy, some people are overwhelmed by it. Some people take it in stride and are not even phased, and everything in between. So as we look around and we see those who are having trouble with the energies around them, we stop and we help them out. We show them. Open up your chakras. Allow the energy to flow through. And as it flows through, allow it to cleanse out the things that are no longer serving you. So imagine now all of the chakras of your body activated, starting with the bottom of the spine. Red at the bottom of the spine. Orange at the belly button. Yellow just below the rib cage. Green in the heart center. Blue at the throat. Indigo at the third eye, and at the crown chakra, the top of the head, violet, and then the light continues on as bright white into the cosmos. Feel that energy flowing through your body as it circulates through all of these chakras. And imagine this light cleansing out all of the darkness from your body, and actually see this darkness flowing out of your body, being released. And this darkness just represents the toxins that come from the everyday lies that are told, from the fears that are out there, from the doubts that are experienced. For all of these things have energetic signatures, and when we cleanse them from our bodies, we find ourselves strengthened, protected, encouraged. We realize that we, as whole beings, are destined to understand our energetic fields and destined to be able to evolve. And we realize the only thing in our way is ourselves. When we listen to the lies and the doubts and the fears that stop us. So I want you to imagine walking down a street, and on both sides of the street you have those who are sending out doubts and fears. And as you walk down the middle of that street, you feel them on the right and the left, sending out the doubts and the fears and the negativity. But you walk this path. You find a way to tune them out and just keep walking. And as you continue to walk unaffected by the doubts and the fears and the negativity, you find that the love within you, the positivity, the faith within you is so strong at this point that it overflows and it affects those on the sides of the road. And pretty soon those who are creating the doubts and the fears and the negativity cease those activities. And pretty soon they are affected by the positivity and the faith and the love to such a degree that they too start sending out positivity and faith and love. And they join you on the path. And one by one, as we affect each other in a positive, loving, faith-filled way, we all walk that path. And we realize that doubts and the fears and the negativity are not inherent within us. These are things that mankind tries to press on other members of mankind, of humankind, in order to suppress, to control. So let's just imagine now, in the place where you live, I want you to imagine the leadership in that area. And I want you just to imagine hearing what they're saying, feeling what they're putting out there, and understand the ways in which they are trying to control you. And as a matter of fact, I want you to see this invisible chain going from them to all the people that they represent. And you see as they pull the chains, they are dragging people around. So we use our love and our faith and our positivity, and we focus on those chains and we break those chains. And as the chains are broken, people become free. And we find all of those handlers who were involved with this suppression, we find them all completely shocked by the activity, completely disappearing from the planet. Till pretty soon there are no more leaders causing problems, for they are gone, gone, gone. There are no people lying because they have dissipated from the planet. So let's imagine a world without all of these doubters and fearmongers and liars and those putting out negativity. Let's imagine them gone, and that this is a world of positivity, of faith, of hope and love. And as we go forth in the world today, let's imagine that and know that with each and every step we take, with each and every breath we breathe, as we believe this to be true, we manifest this into reality. And we notice little by little that those in the world that are lying and spreading doubts and fears, they slowly fade away. Their power ceases to exist. Till pretty soon they are completely ignored, pushed aside until they fade into nothingness. So let's imagine this, and imagine the positivity and the love. Let your subconscious mind continue on that journey, sending out positivity and love. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's it for today. Thank you very much for being here. Go out and have yourselves an awesome day today. Send out love, send out positivity. You don't have to say anything, just imagine it. And as you imagine it, those imaginings become stronger and stronger. Remember, there's way more of us than there are of those who are causing problems. Billions of more. There's not a reason in the world that the small minority of individuals controlling things should be able to control billions of people. Not a reason at all. So from this moment forward, let that control end. Let that control end. We can do it. We're all in this together. All we have to do is believe that that is a possibility and a reality. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I love you. Keep loving yourselves and loving each other. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.